Welcome, everyone. I'm Bill Poss. You're tuned into the Split Bill Daily Interview Show. My guest today is one of my favorite songwriters, Bruce Robison. Very lucky to have him on today. He was supposed to be performing at the Moccasin Creek Festival, and unfortunately, that's been canceled for this year. So we're in talks to have him come next year and do the same tour that we're going to do, which includes Moccasin Creek Festival. Moccasin Creek Festival has been rescheduled, just so you know, for June 17th through the 20th of 2021. And so if you're looking for a really in advance Father's Day gift, this is a great one to give. I can't wait to talk to Bruce. I'm going to start with a song that I made up about a guy who gets caught up in a bad situation and somehow he makes it right. If you're a Slade Cleaves fan, you may recognize the chord progression, if not the rhythm or the subject matter. But it's a song I wrote after learning Breakfast in Hell, and I was convinced by my friend Peter Kane. We were on a tour with Slade at the very original Broke Down tour, and I was telling Peter that I was going to learn this song and play it, learn Breakfast in Hell and play it, but then Peter talked me out of it. He said it was too soon to do it. Now, I disagreed with him then, and I disagree with him now, but I took his advice just because he knew a lot more about it than I did. And so, anyway, I took the chord progression and I changed the rhythm up, and I wrote my own song. Well, I ran out of gas at Eagle Pass, so close to the big brown line. All I packed was a guitar in a sack and a bottle of cheap red wine. On the corner I sat with a quarter in my hat. I was trying to make some change. She walked by with a look in her eye. That's when things got strange. Across the street, in a crowd of feet, two dice rolled up 11. Two beady eyes full of pain and lies in the car with the engine revving. In she went to the local 10 cents till she came back out in a minute. She threw $1 in my hat, said, "Take a look at that." Then she walked to the car and got in. So I looked at the note, saw what she wrote as the car rolled across the Rio. It said, "I marry a man with blood on his hands, Saturday night in Saltillo." I should have known better than to try to go get her. It was trouble made to order. But I sold my guitar, gassed up the car, and I headed straight for the border. I broke my parole the minute I rolled past the Office of Immigration. The Texas state line was a prison of mine per the rules of my probation. My dear sweet wife had lost her life in the fight, sent me to jail. A cop had run in front of my gun, and the judge, he held me without bail. No job, no wife, no house, no life. I could leave and never look back. I had 24 hours to find that flower. I followed along their track. Yes, I went down to that mountain town. I parked somewhere in the middle, but churches abounded as I walked around looking for clues to that riddle. I found their car. It was parked not far from a church with a mission for the poor. The priest there said I could work for a bit, and he had me mopping the floor. They were bringing in flowers. It was just 2 hours till the wedding bells would chime. They were bringing in chairs and tables to the square, and I was running out of time. When I could tell that the wedding bell was about to take its toll, the ladies in wait had met their date. She was about to take that stroll. I left the limo driver barely alive, and I pulled it up to the door. I said, "This is your chance to ditch this dance, but you can't come back no more. inside there, all they saw was her hair as she shook out the pins in the veil. She hopped in the car and we got real far. They never did catch our trail. Now somewhere in the street in the crowd of beat, there's two guys rolling up 7 as we drive around this coastal town looking for a place to call heaven. Heaven! Send that one out to Susie up in Port Dover, Ontario, who's watching, and that's her favorite Bill Pa song. So send that out to you, Susie. Love you, doll. All right. Hey, there's Bruce.
You got to watch out for those wordy ones, right? You know, I mean, that's a lot of lyrics in there. You did well, but
yeah, I get tripped up on that one sometimes.
I'm sure you do. That's cool.
I don't know if you heard the introduction to that, but I wrote that because of a Slade Cleave song, Breakfast in Hell.
Mm-hmm.
And, my friend Peter Kane talked me out of learning it or starting to perform it because it was just a brand new song then. So I took the chord progression and I juiced it up a little with some Latino flair and shifted from Canada down to Mexico. And
wherever you get the inspiration, huh? That's cool.
That's the song that has inspired me to advise people songwriting to never start a song with internal rhymes unless you're prepared for a long fight.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
that's probably good. I was asking Jared Jeff Walker about Mr. Bojangles, and he said he was messing with internal rhymes when he was just starting to think about that, and that was how he started writing that song. Was thinking about an internal rhyme scheme.
Yeah, well, that's a great example of a real one done well, I would say.
I'll say, yeah.
Yeah. So welcome to Split, Bill. Real pleasure to have you on here today.
Thanks for having me, Bill. Again, we're glad you made this happen. We're sad about missing the festival, but good to connect somehow, and get make connection with the folks out there since we're not going to be able to make it quite as quickly as we'd like to.
I've been enjoying watching you and Kelly on the porch on the Instagram.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's odd figuring out how to stay connected these days and what to do. We've done a couple of live stream things, but those were fun. They were just goof off things that seemed to fit, and I like that. I saw somebody yesterday across the distance, and they hollered out that they had seen something. So it's fun. It was fun to have an excuse to sing a song that you don't normally sing.
Have you had a chance to get any writing done while you've been
a little bit
solitary? Yeah,
a little bit. Sadly enough, about the same as I ever do, which is not that much. I've never been able to make myself more prolific than I was when I started, which is really rare whenever I get a song that I like. But that's been a hard thing for me to manipulate. But a little bit, yeah.
Right. You and I are almost exactly the same age. You're 16 days older than me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just happened to look. I was looking at your Wikipedia page. And,
no kidding.
But anyway, I didn't start playing guitar till I was a little older. I was 25 when I picked up the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And started writing songs shortly after that. But did you get a younger start than that? Did you get started growing up?
Well, I did. I played guitar a little bit earlier than that, but I certainly didn't have any thoughts of having a career in it. And I played in a garage band pretty early on. Actually, I played bass, starting in a little band in my hometown of Bandera, Texas, from about 7th grade, whatever age that is,
right.
And 12, I guess, or so. So, and that was started. But I just was always really into music and loved thinking about songs and almost pretty obsessively listening to music. And then after we moved to Austin, just kind of fell into it a little bit. But yeah, it was later when I started writing songs.
Did you grow up listening to the kind of music that you write now, or
yeah, very much so. lots of other kinds too. But I do when I mentioned Jerry Jeff because he's a hero, but he introduced through his records. I got introduced to some of the songwriters that I love, like Guy Clark and some different folks. And my parents were listening to Willie Nelson and Emmylou Harris and Linda Ronstadt and those things and Waylon Jennings. And so there was just tons of great songs on those records, and those really are continue to be the ones that kind of set the bar for what I think what a great song sounds like to me, and the ones that I kind of relate to.
Right. I guess it's no surprise, I guess, since we're about the same age, that our parents listened to some of the same artists. I grew up with Linda Ronstadt very much, and that a little more bluegrass probably to your country and Waylon Jennings type stuff. But when was it that you ran across Robert Earl Keen? I know he's from Bandera, as I understand.
Oh, well, right after me and my big brother Charlie moved to town, we discovered his first record. A buddy of ours, I think, he was just getting started, and we found that record, No Kind of Dancer, and it was really a big deal for me because the songs sounded so specifically kind of Texan. It was a very acoustic record. The first one was, so something about it, and I've told Robert this many times, that something about it made it feel accessible, both in like the music and then also in the subject matter. You know, some of the songs were kind of almost set specifically sort of in a central Texan kind of a thing. So felt like about people that I knew about and grew up with. And so it was very inspiring. And then Kelly and I even recorded one of the songs off that record years later, just a few years ago. And I love Robert's songs, and yeah, he's a big inspiration for me. Although that was in my mid-20s before I heard that. Yeah. Right.
So early 90s.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, it's time. I'm going to get in trouble if I don't ask you to play a song, and I'd love to hear your song. So
okay.
You got one?
You'd love to. It's funny. I get out of practice. I'm glad you're doing something to keep it up. So here's a song that is. I write a lot of sad songs, and this is one that's more recent, and it's a love song. So I enjoy playing it recently, since it's I don't know, it's just nice to mix it up that way. And the last recordings that Kelly and I recorded, it was on that. Maybe the last place I would have been, but life had brought me here. Like your voice on an old time song, suddenly so clear. I held you close, I chased you down, I let it set me free. Oh, love was there like a summer storm, coming down on me. Life and doubt go hand in hand, and the road is never short. Them whistling dreams of the wine-drunk youth, that's the only thing that's so pure. I let you go, I tried to stay, some kind of destiny. Oh, love was there like a summer storm, coming down on me. I'll be damned if they ain't figured out how the light of the long gone worlds can travel far across the heavens to one guy and a girl. And that's when I see that light there in your eyes. It's a funny thing through the years. While I was trying not hard enough, the goddamn cold disappeared. I just still wanted to let you go, some kind of destiny. Oh, love was there like a summer storm, coming down on me. was there like the heavens on coming down on me. See, I was hassling you about forgetting your lyrics, and I forgot mine completely. So I knew it was going to happen.
It was a little. It was a little like a Willie Nelson chord in there or something. What was that?
You know, that was, I was thinking about that. That's what is that? The diminished chord? Yeah. And yeah, Willie uses those a bunch, doesn't he? And they can sure kind of mix things up a little bit.
Yeah, it's like a nice spice, you know. Just
yeah.
Perfect. So most people that know your songs probably know them by other people in the larger world, you know.
For sure. Yeah.
And that's not true of me. I mean, certainly respect those songs, but you had a big hit with Tim McGraw, and Faith Hill did "Angry All the Time."
They did, yeah.
George Strait did "Wrapped Around Your Pretty Little Finger."
Yeah, we did a couple of mine. Tim did a couple of mine too. But yeah, that was kind of my job for a long time. Was you know, I had a publishing deal out of Nashville, and I really loved once I started calling myself a songwriter. And even though I really enjoyed that, that was pretty much a surprise whenever we had some songs become those big hits. Those kind of songs weren't really on the radio at the time or now. And so, yeah, it was a surprise, a wonderful thing.
Yeah. How can I ask how you got involved with how did you get a record deal? It was
well, it was
a writing deal. Sorry.
Yeah, I just Jim Lauderdale actually right after I started writing songs, he introduced me to his publisher. At that time, it was Blue Water Music, and they brought me to Nashville. That was they didn't offer me a publishing deal, but that was my first trip to Nashville. They sent me a plane ticket, and I kind of started getting some good feedback on my songs, and so I just kind of grabbed a hold of that. You know, looking back on it, I just had so little direction at all, that once I started thinking, well, I'll be a songwriter, you know, that I just really grabbed a hold of that, and again, I got some other people said they liked my songs too, but it took a long time to get a publishing deal, and then to get and make any money. That was probably 10 years after I started kind of saying that I was traveling to Nashville and doing that. Was a while before I got a publishing deal, and then a little while after that before I got any cuts that made any money.
Right on. You had a hit with the Dixie Chicks. I think that may stand as an all-time record for a song being number one on the charts one week and then off the charts the next week.
I don't think it's possible for anything to ever beat that, because no matter if you get up that far, then it'll stick around longer than that, no matter what happens, unless you something crazy like that happens. But yeah, I was my song "Traveling Soldier" was their number one single, actually, and that's what Natalie was introducing. And she was outside of London. She was introducing that song when she said the comment, and so it was off the charts a couple of weeks after that. But it's quite an experience. Still looking back on, was being a little part of an interesting part of our history. You know.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. And did. You must have made some money from those cuts.
Yeah, I never really. I mean, it. My kids know that there were other things. There was a movie in production. There was probably awards that very likely would have been won, or these things. Right. But, I mean, they sold something like 6 or 7 million records, and the song was number one, and so it really. It was an amazing, wonderful career windfall that I never really felt like it felt like I would have been greedy if I, was mad about that, because I certainly would kill to have that over again. Even live in a world where someone can sell 6 million records, and
Right.
a song on it. So yeah, I really didn't spend a whole lot of time being mad about that. It was strange because we were family too. And so never knowing where it was going to end and stuff,
One of them was your sister-in-law. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Sister-in-law.
Right. Which one?
Emily was at the time was married to my brother Charlie, and but we had come up together. We were signed to Sony at the same time. I was, and Charlie was, and the Chicks were, and so they were looking back, they were on a track that was a little more different, but we all started together, and they took off like a rocket. So we really were family together and friends even before Charlie and Emily got together and stuff. So so it was still just a mind blowing, just shake your head kind of all the things that happened. And Natalie's dad, Lloyd, has been a dear friend of mine and record and produced my records and everything. We really were just, like family.
I was lucky to have Lloyd play on my the last record I made in Austin. He played dobro and
through him. Yeah.
He's a gem.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah. Well, has it changed from a royalty standpoint? Do you feel like, I'm sure it has, but can you tell us how it's changed from a songwriter standpoint? You get a hit like that, and I don't think you get the kind of money that you used to get, but I don't know why.
Well, actually, I wouldn't really know. I would imagine, I would guess though that if you had a multiple week #1 on one of the radio charts, it maybe it would make the same amount of money. It's a different thing to be able to make that happen these days, and a lot of the artists are writing their own songs, and definitely a lot of the songs, as I can tell, I'm a little bit out of that, but have as many as 4 or 5 or 6 writers on them. Right. So it seems to have changed a lot, and that just a lot of folks who write kind of the simpler songs like I do don't even have publishing deals anymore or anything. So but it's I'm so thankful for for the part that we were of it, and I hope to get my songs out there some in the future, however that works. But definitely, I know I've talked to Kelly about this, that even at the time, it was like we were bitching about the radio at the time, but at that moment there was Dwight Yoakam was on the radio, and Patty Loveless was on the radio, and there were all kinds of people that were on the radio that we loved, but it was just like there wasn't enough, and now I just I'm fairly disconnected from the Nashville and country radio scene. That nothing against it, but it's not. It's kind of a little bit even further away from the type of songs that I write than it was at that time. So
yeah, it's got quite a bit away from us. But anyway, I don't want to talk about your new project, The Next Waltz, but can you do a song before we talk about that?
Sure, you bet.
I made a couple of requests. I don't know if you remember those, but
you mentioned What Would Willie Do?
Yeah.
I didn't have that on my list, and I like playing that song these days, and I don't know if everybody out there, Willie is, man. I'm such a big Willie Nelson fan, and well, it's May now. His birthday was at the end of April, and so I wrote this song in praise of Willie Nelson. He was certainly a big inspiration on the way that I try and make records and the songs that I write too. And so that I think that was just in there somewhere. So Bill, thanks. Somebody said they wanted to hear this. So what the heck, I was lost in trouble and strife. I heard a voice and it changed my life. Now it's a brand new day, and I ain't ashamed to say you're not alone when you're down and out. I think you know who I'm talking about. when I don't know how I'll get through. I ask myself, hey, what would a Willie do? Long ago, he came unto us. Yeah, his words, they were simple, but they went right through us. And the whole world sang along. But then they didn't want to hear his songs. And he was gone, you know, and we thought we'd lost him. But he just grew his hair out and he moved to Austin, yeah. And all of the people smiled. They came to hear him sing from miles. And like a miracle, all the rednecks and the hippies from New York City down to Mississippi stood together and they raised a brew. When your skies are gray, hey, what would a Willie do? You know, sometimes I still wonder when I ain't getting nowhere. What would old Willie do when things get too much to bear? And I can see him sitting on his lonely old bus. And he's got his problems just like any of us. And I bet he'd just take a deep breath and he'd let all them problems go. And then he'd take another deep breath, let all them problems go. And then he'd take another deep breath. Yeah. And then he'd hold it. And then I bet he'd feel hungry. In a way that seems strange, yes, hungry. For all the things he just can't change, like the time he passed out in his own bedroom. And his ex-wife sewed him up in the sheet, and she beat him with a broom, and he forgave her. And you think that that's rough. Well, now, the IRS came and they took away all his stuff. They took his golf course and his recording studio. And he just went on out and did another 5,000 shows. But when it's all coming down on you, I think you better ask yourself, hey, what would a Willie do? Hey, what would Willie do? He's gonna travel far with nothing but a song and an old guitar and a tour bus and some semi-trucks and 30 crewmen and a little bit of luck. He loves all the people, the rank and the randy. If you don't believe it, take a look at the family. They're gonna tell you that it's true. When your skies are gray, hey, what would a Willie do? Modulation. Hey, what would Willie do? He's gonna take a little time and he talk to old Gator as they drive on down that line. There's millions down that road. And with a word, he's gonna lighten their load. He loves all the people, no matter their races. Hell, he even made a hit country song with Julio Iglesias. And that ain't easy to do. But when it's all too much, hey, what would Willie when the game gets rough? What would Willie when they call your bluff? Hey, what would Willie do? For Willie, wherever you are. Thank you, Bill.
That was a treat, man. That was a treat. I love that song. I think I first heard that on one of the KGSR. They put every Thanksgiving to release that thing.
Yeah, that was the first place I ever played that song. And actually, Gary Allen cut that song, and yeah, that's funny. And I used to really love having that one in the set because again, I have so many horribly sad songs, so it's good to have a funny one in there somewhere.
Did you? Was that hard to write? Because that sounds. I mean, there's just a lot of subtlety in that song that gets lost in the humor, probably.
Well, I mean, I guess everybody can tell it's an analogy, I guess, to this Jesus story, and
sure.
And so, but once that was in my head, and that came from a real thing when I saw him, and I kind of gave me that idea, and once I plugged his story, which I knew very, very well. I mean, I read a bunch of books about him, and that once I kind of plugged the Willie myth and stuff that I knew into that, then it actually went really fast. And then I did move. I remember moving the verses around and stuff from a kind of a comic-y kind of a place. But yeah, it came together real fast because it was just like, okay, here's what little I know about the Jesus story. And then I did this thing. But I honestly think I'd never heard anybody use the whole WW whatever before I did it. So it's impossible for me to go back, but now it's like, what would whatever do, and it's been in a million places. But at that moment, when I thought of that, I was like, and I'd seen somebody with a thing that said WWJD. And so I still claim to have ruined that for all of us. So,
Well, yeah, I love that song. I'm a huge Willie Nelson fan. As you are. I have the Across the Great Divide, I think it's called, the one with the Paul Simon recorded.
Yep.
And it's not a very popular album at all, I don't think, but man, I cannot get enough. I still listen to that record.
Yeah. Yeah, there really is a lot of stuff too on some underappreciated things that are later on that are pretty amazing. He's an artist that was not. The other thing is, those of us who live in Austin, I mean, there's a reason that he is the kind of the godparent to the whole thing here. Him and Doug Somm too, and some other folks that are at their core seem unclassifiable, and that's to me the hallmark of what's great about Austin is that the music here. I felt at its best was always just not trying to adhere to any rules or anything, and so Willie's music was definitely like that. I think, and inspirational in that way, that it was just so many different influences in there that it felt so fresh and new,
Yeah, I moved to Austin. I graduated from school, and I was trying to decide what to do with myself, and I went there thinking I might be like a lawyer for a record company or something,
right?
And because I had come during South by Southwest to visit, right? So I came back and I moved there, like so many people do.
Yep.
And I realized that there was tons of music, but there was almost no business, and so
that's still the case. Yeah. Although you are looking, we're here from the Next Waltz headquarters, world headquarters, which is, and that's where I'm at, an office that's real close to my house, and we have a record label here, and there's a platform online with a bunch of content, and so I really enjoy that part of it. And there's still, you're right. I mean, there's precious little music business here, save the live venues that have always been here. That part of the business, live performance. But so yeah, I have a record label and management company and everything, and so I enjoy it a bunch. It's a really wonderful way to be part of the music that's going on now.
Well, tell us about the label. What's the mission? You had kind of an interesting byline on the mission there.
Well, it started kind of as a way to think of how to properly find a way to release singles, which I still think that we're all headed towards that sort of a world where people you can still release albums, but that people hardly even listen to music that way. And singles is we need a good way to promote records and get people to hear it, And so it started that way. So it started as a label, and then it kind of moved into a platform to have all the video and stuff to go along with it, where people can have something to discover online while we make the content along with the music as we make the music. And then it has kind of moved back into a label with the platform attached. So now we manage artists over here, but we pretty much do the whole thing. We do vinyl, we make singles, we make full albums, we manage artists, we do try and do good digital marketing on all the stuff that we have, and release the singles on streaming services. We do everything. Make T-shirts, sell them. Everything. It's like, it feels like the 50s. I mean, or the old, the Wild West for a record label. That all all the rules are gone, and so we don't really exactly know what's coming next. And so it's fun to be part of that.
Are you actually recording the music in your studio?
Yeah, we have a place out near Lockhart, south of Austin, and it's if anybody checks out the stuff that we do at thenextwaltz.com, there's a bunch of great people. It's Jerry Jeffson there, and Turnpike Troubadours, and Reckless Kelly, Kelly Willis, with all kinds of great folks. And so it's a studio. It's all 2-inch tape analog, and there's no computers or anything. The way that we make the video and stuff is real, cutting edge, but the way that we record the music is real old school and analog and organic. And so we do the recording out there, and then we are always we're always doing telling the stories with the video as we're making the stuff.
Right on. We're getting some nice comments here. The last several have all been performers. Robbie Folks being.
Oh man, I miss Robbie. God, it was the funniest guy, man. I mean, I just it's one of the greatest things about our job is being able to travel and meet folks like Robbie. When I have so many great memories of. That's part of Chicago to me. It's like the Sears Tower or something. Is being able to go and maybe end up sitting in a pub and talking with Robbie, and he's such a funny guy and such a Renaissance man, and those are the things that you really get to missing while we have to take it easy here in a while and we don't get to mix it up out there. But that's really one of my maybe the favorite thing about this job that we do is traveling around and meeting nuts like Robbie.
He's probably one of the few people you don't have to look down at.
That's true. and someone who's more cynical than I am. So
yeah. And we also have Charlie Roth from St. Cloud, Minnesota. He'll be my guest tomorrow on the show. He's a regular performer at the Moccasin Creek Festival. Mary Batiata from Baltimore, Maryland. Or no, I'm sorry, somewhere near there.
All right. Well, that's where Kelly's from, out that way, Annandale.
Oh yeah, I remember Kelly's when her very first record came out, and I think 1990 or 91,
somewhere in there, yeah.
Yeah, and I got it because it was featured on some thing that I got in a promotional disc that had all different artists on it, and I was knocked out by her, and so I bought that, and I was still just about to go to college at that time. So I was my previous girlfriend was a huge fan of that record, and we listened to it all the time. I still love that record. I could tell you, Hole in My Heart and I Don't Want to Love You But I Do and River of Love. It's really, I'm always bugging her to play those songs, and she hardly ever plays any of them. I love them all. Great stuff. All right, can I get you to play another song? Well, sure. I don't have a whole lot of song. Yeah, okay. Well, it is true. Most people, if they know my songs at all, they're probably from other folks. So maybe I'll play. I'll play Wrapped, I guess. So that was one of the songs that George Strait did. I didn't have to turn my head whenever you walked in. The only one to let these chills roll down my skin. My heart beats faster. I hear your name. I feel my confidence slipping away. I thought I was doing fine, about to get you off my mind. I see your face and then I'm wrapped around your pretty little finger again. It feels like ages since you lay down in my arms. I see no good reason, but still I'm tangled in your charms. My God, you're smiling. You catch my eye. My heart is pounding deep inside.
Thought I was doing fine, about to get you off my mind. I see your face and I'm wrapped around your pretty little finger again. Another modulation. I ain't gonna let no man go down without a fight. My stars and walls look better in the bright daylight. My God, you're smiling. You catch my eye. My heart is pounding deep inside. I thought I was doing fine, about to get you off my mind. I see your face and I'm wrapped around your pretty little finger. I thought I was doing fine, about to get you off my mind. I see your face and I'm wrapped around your pretty little finger again. Your finger again. All right. Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Man, I just saw the button for the live comments the whole time. I didn't know how. But I'm always scared about, oh, yeah, Kelly and the Fireballs. That was her band. Yeah. 12-bar blues.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like the comments. It's fun, but are you ever scared people are going to say something horrible to you? But they never do. But it still always sticks in my mind. Me and Bill Kelly did a commercial for Claritin one time. And so she had just had a baby. And so early days of the internet. So she goes on there. She says, I'm going to go and see what people are saying about it. I'm like, don't do it. Do not look at that. She opened up. She says, it says we should be doing a commercial for Krispy Kreme. So I'll never forget that comment. So anyway, all right. This is cool. Yeah, great.
Exactly. Same need for readers, I guess, huh?
Sure do. I can't see. Well, I can't see those little things for sure. So.
This is Stefan Green. Says, we love hearing the tunes coming out of the next waltz. I can't wait to check this out. I should have probably done some recon on this, but I do an interview every day. And so,
well, it's hard. I mean, that's the reason I made it is it's kind of hard to find stuff out there. You know, there's so many things out there and so it's hard to find new music. And if you people like, me that don't know where to look, but there's so many great musicians around this area, and that I know. And so we always start with the song and try and find a interesting thing to base it around or have the content tell a little bit more about the artist or something. But I really enjoy it. I like it a lot.
That sounds like a real fulfilling way to spend your time and energy.
Yeah.
And it gives you a platform also, I suppose, too.
I do. It doesn't feel that different to me. I mean, even when I started writing songs, I honestly, and no humble crap about it, I wasn't looking to be a recording artist myself at all. I was just going to be an ink stained wretch. Really, that was what my dream was. And so that was, even when I started writing those first songs and what I was doing, it was just really to be part of that world, just to be part of the music that I loved in some kind of way. And writing songs, that was just my entree into it. And so now, as weird as Nashville's got, I mean, it pretty much would, I think if I was able to put that together with a song with a newer band that really found a very wide audience, I think I'd probably have as much fun out of that as I would having another hit myself these days, on the radio, because it was just I have done that a couple times, and it's problematic these days.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question for you, just a totally personal question from me. It is, and I listened to the crap out of the record. I think it was your first record. I may be wrong about that, but it was I call it the Stickman record.
Yeah. Yeah, that was there's only a couple thousand of those made, and it was I bet a lot of people have kind of their first little independently released record, but that had Traveling Soldier on it. It had Anger All the Time too, but that's cool that you know that record. That's pretty.
Rain, Louisiana was one of my
Rain,
favorites.
Louisiana, was that on there? Yeah.
Yeah, the last one. It had a bunch of Dead Letter Day for the Blues.
Dead Letter Day for Blues. Yeah.
Anyway, it's a great record. How did you do the artwork for that? Was that just a lark?
I did. I was pretty. I had something in my head that I couldn't get anybody to help me, and I was pretty. I guess probably resentful about it. So I just decided that that the whole thing was just gonna be for me, because I couldn't get a record deal, or I couldn't get anything going on, and so I think somehow that was the concept, and so I just took out a Sharpie and made the cover art, and there was a concept behind it in some kind of way, but it's pretty funny looking back,
I was always fascinated. I always looked at it and thought, that's a genius cover, but it must have been quite simple to make.
It was very simple.
My third record was called Long Way Home, and I was bringing the notes over to the designer for the album, and I didn't have any cover art, and so I stopped at the HEB, and I took a picture of my shirt, and then I took a picture of my face from like here up, and I had him develop it, and I brought it to him, and he turned it into the cover. It was like it was the best cover I ever had. People really loved it, but it was just
and now it's something that I really get into, honestly. That's a cool thing. With the, just another way to add some artistry. I think I can get this. We do a compilation of our singles, and this is the cover art from the second one, which folks from that know about Austin, there was a legendary club called the Armadillo World Headquarters, and there was a whole 5 or 6 poster artist guys that did all the playbills and everything, all the posters for that. And so one of those guys, Carry On is his name. He did that. He's one of the Armadillo poster artists, and so that's a really fun thing to kind of make the covers really cool, And then me and Kelly's last record, I just happen to have those. You ever, God, what's his name? His name's John Langford.
Yeah,
the Mekons.
Yeah.
And so I just loved his stuff. I'd never met him before, and went through. He's a Chicago guy. I bet Robbie knows John Langford, and so I kind of just called up his art dealer, and the guy was like, I said, I have this idea. We're making these records, these cool vinyl, and we're trying to make the cover art as cool as the music, and I love Langford's stuff, and want to attach some good stuff, and the dealer was like, well, you can't start. This guy's out of your price range, and you can't. You're not going to be. You can't start at the top that way, And I was like, okay, well, tell him I never met him before. Just say, I'm a fan. And so I immediately got a call back from John Langford. He's like, I'll do it. He did it for almost nothing, and just to be part of it.
That's great.
And,
He's great.
And so I'm really enjoying that these days. And so we make, and then making the vinyl's kind of cool now to do that again. We didn't have vinyl, back to the first 4 or 5 records, and nobody made vinyl. And so now it's really a fun thing to do, and people are buying it. And so, but now I have a new appreciation for how beautiful that a cover art can be,
Right. Yeah. John was actually on my open mic last week.
Oh, cool! What a great guy. Yeah, it was such a wonderful way to meet him, and just a brilliant guy, man, and a punk rock soul, man. You know.
When I was with the Fred Eaglesmith traveling steam show for about 5 years, one of the last things we did with them was a tour across Route 66, and both John and Robbie were on the tour.
Oh, no kidding. Well, that's some good folks to be hanging out with there.
And John D. Graham and Mary Gaucher. We had a hell of a lineup. Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, it's a good time. Anyway, hey, I've taken enough of your time. I sure appreciate you being willing to come on and talk to me.
Well, thanks for including me in the whole deal. And man, we'll get back out there to the festival. We'll get out there to the festival. We're really looking forward to it, and you know, hope everybody's staying safe out there. And boy, me and Kelly miss everybody out there for sure. You know.
Well, and tell Kelly thanks for sparing you for an hour. I'm gonna bug you to get her on here at some point if she'll do it.
Do it. Yeah.
I don't know near as much about her. It's just that she's I love her music, but that's all I know. So
yeah, she's still singing.
I want to just say quickly, we have Charlie Roth on the show tomorrow. We're still talking about Thursday, and then on Friday, a great guitar player, a young man from Toronto, Canada. His name is Mike T. Kerr, and so that rounds out our week. And we're still planning for next week. I'll let you know when I know. And you feel like doing another song? You got your guitar still handy? Or?
Yeah, sure. You bet. I saw a couple of things go by. Somebody said that 12-bar blues. That's so funny.
That's the hippie that lives in my backyard.
What's that?
That's the hippie that lives in my backyard.
Oh, okay, good. Let's see. Well, for the hippie in the backyard. That's great. I like that. I woke at 11 to the ring of the thing of the phone. It was my baby just calling, let me know she's gone. There's nothing left to say. Besides, I had it with you, honey, and I'm moving away. I get the feeling it's just no use. I got the 12-bar blues. Yeah, and not in this town, there ain't no place to go. We got no penny arcade and a picture show. The sun goes down and then I'm headed out to where the lights are dim and the people love to get real loose. You know, they got the 12-bar blues. 'Cause in a sleepy little town, well, you wouldn't think there was nobody around, but the sound of the swinging doors on a honky-tonks, they got a dozen or more, and the hardest thing is to choose when you got the 12-bar blues. They got the best jukebox down at Jimmy and Joe's, my picture on the wall at the Yellow Rose. They got my pinball game at Bill's, the best hardwood floor at Henry's Bar and Grill, and they wash away my bad news when you got the 12-bar blues. 'Cause in a sleepy little town, well, you wouldn't think there was nobody around, but the sound of the swinging doors of the honky-tonks, they got a dozen or more. The hardest thing is to choose when you got the 12-bar blues. When I'm feeling lonely and I'm getting low, the blues just follow me wherever I go. Yeah, I jump in my pickup truck and I go downtown, try to change my luck. You know, crying just won't do when you got the 12-bar blues. When a sleepy little town, well, you wouldn't think there was nobody around, but the sound of the swinging door on a honky-tonks, they got a dozen or more, and the hardest thing is to choose when you got the 12-bar blues. I said the hardest thing is to choose when you got the 12-bar. All right. I had a great time with everybody. Thank y'all so much. Hey, Bill, thanks for having me, brother.
Thank you so much, Bruce. So check out Next Waltz. Is it the nextwaltz.com? Is there a the in the website?
The Next Waltz. You got it exactly right. The Next
Waltz.com. And check out some great music. Thanks, Bruce. It's been great having you on, and we'll see you down the road. Free Festival 2021. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It's been a great interview and a great time. I was